We start today's news with the confirmation that wrestling legend and all-time great Scott Hall, also known as Razor Ramon, has passed away at the age of 63. Hall was on life support after suffering multiple heart attacks. However, as confirmed by Kevin Nash, once his family had gathered, they decided to take him off that life support. Luke had a lovely roundup of his career in yesterday's WrestleTalk news video, so I would highly recommend going and watching that if you're unfamiliar with why Hall was a huge influence on the wrestling industry as a whole. Rest in peace, Scott Hall. Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Unfortunately, the news doesn't get much lighter today, as we're going to talk about Big E's awful neck injury that took place on last week's episode of SmackDown. A mistimed belly-to-belly suplex saw Big E's head crash down hard on the mat outside the ring, forcing him to be stretchered away. In an update video after the fact, E confirmed that his neck was in fact broken, but that he could still move all his digits, which is always a good sign. In a further update he posted later, E revealed that he wouldn't be needing surgery, and that his C1 and C6 vertebrae were fractured, but fortunately not displaced, and there was no ligament damage and no spinal cord damage either. While this seems like a very positive update, there unfortunately might be some negativity to cloud it, as David Chow, who worked as the team doctor for the San Diego Chargers for 16 years and has previously worked as a consulting physician for WWE events and performing surgery, has revealed that Big E's in-ring career could be over. Chow wrote an article about Big E's scenario, specifically to the C1 and C6 fractures that he sustained, shining some light on the situation, saying, "The C1 fracture is most dangerous as the top cervical vertebrae is a ring and is commonly associated with immediate death or complete paralysis. Thankfully, the fracture was not displaced and he will not need surgery. However, this type of fracture often heals incompletely and it may mean the end of his wrestling career. The C6 fracture is likely a compression injury due to the vertebral body. This likely requires immobilization but not surgery. One would anticipate a minimum of a 3-month recovery with return to full function and activities for this lower cervical injury." It's worth noting, of course, that Chow is not involved in Big E's injuries specifically, has not seen any x-rays or test results or anything of the sort, so his information is purely based off the general guidelines and knowledge surrounding these injury types. However, his expertise in the area does make him a credible source. I just hope he's wrong. While there is an understandable amount of frustration and anger over Big E's situation, as he's such a beloved figure and people want to see him do well, the incorrect thing to do in this situation is direct that anger towards Ridge Holland, the man who is attempting to execute the overhead belly-to-belly to Big E. A similar sentiment seems to have permeated backstage in WWE, as according to Wade Keller of PW Torch, there doesn't appear to be any heat on Holland for the botched belly-to-belly. Holland reportedly handled himself well after the incident, and Keller sources told him it was being treated as an accidents happen kind of situation. And that, at least, is some positive news. That news was a little rough today, wasn't it? Grab a loved one, give them a hug. Spread the love around the wrestling community today, because it needs it. And now, hot tag to Ollie.
Thanks for your support on Patreon. The roller coaster, Robert Acosta, and WrestleTalk's personal ring announcer Rodrigo Benitez. You can get your own shout out on the WrestleTalk news by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Now it's time for my review of last night's Raw. In about 5 minutes, Kevin Owens fittingly started his show opening promo with a "Hey-yo," one of the many touching references to the great Scott Hall on this episode. He said his KO show segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin will main event the Saturday night of WrestleMania. Whatever main event means these days, as I've seen WWE call the 4th match on the card main event sometimes. And they're not content with just burying Texas. He got "your whole country sucks" heat by saying how much better Canada is than the US. Owens is great. The video package recapping their feud was very well edited. Stone Cold is one of my favourite wrestlers ever. But the big comeback story after almost 2 decades is a cheap, your local hometown heat bit. Stupendous. KO then stunned the cameraman to end the segment. His best buddy, Seth Rollins, meanwhile, was pretty upset backstage, because there is no room on the 2-night WrestleMania for him to have a match. Absolutely no time for the 3rd top guy in the company to wrestle on the 29-hour WrestleMania card. But he had an idea. The crowd were chanting for Cody Rhodes. The commentary kept making subtle Cody Rhodes references. So he revealed he'll face Kevin Owens tonight to get the right to have a talk show segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin, god damn it, which Sonya Deville booked as the main event, meaning she kayfabe let Raw run for a whole hour without knowing what the most important match of the night would be. She's terrible at her job. I get that Seth's character is desperate, but the Stone Cold return story is already lacking in substance. To then have both Seth and KO fight over the right to interview him at Mania made them both feel like absolute chumps. Damian Priest recently said in an interview, "Anyone can be a wrestler. There is only one place to be a WWE superstar." To which Dax Harwood responded, "Yeah, but I want to be a pro wrestler." Is Damian trying to turn heel? He got instant karma with yet another match against Finn Balor, which oddly was just background music to Austin Theory building his SmackDown match against Pat McAfee on commentary. Balor got distracted, taking out Theory, letting Priest get the win. If you listen really closely during the Amos vs. Commander Aziz match, you can actually hear Vince McMahon's erection. But you know what? I don't blame him, because there was one spot where Amos pretty much deadlift suplexed Aziz without taking a bump, and it looked freaking awesome. Amos won. What are we gonna do with Rhea Ripley now she's not in a random tag team anymore? Put her in another random tag team? Promote that man! With his spot-on Australian accent. Ridley scared Carmella so much, she jumped into Corey Graves' lap. If you listen really closely during that spot, you can actually hear Corey's erection, and for some reason that distracted Queen Zelina, letting Liv Morgan get the win. Far more interesting in all of this was a graphic promoting Edge Up Later, where he was 100% blue. That's Batista's gimmick. It's no longer Black History Month, so the Hurt Business quickly lost to the Mysterios. Dom and Ray tried to hit a 619 on Logan Paul afterwards, but Miz saved him. Stupendous! Queen Sharmell will be going into this year's Hall of Fame. Sure, whatever. Then out came all new, all blue Edge. Following last week's promo, Edge cemented his new character with new entrance music and a You People promo. But not all You People promos are bad, they're just lazy and overdone in WWE. Thankfully, Edge's performance made it really, really good. He said ever since his return he's been trying to please You People. He ripped his tricep for You People, but in attacking AJ Styles he realised that's the real him. AJ was still off selling the concerto as he should be, but he did tweet that he'll return next week, where Edge better prepare himself, stupid haircut and all. Dude, AJ, those in glass houses. Veer is still coming, although he appears to have got tangled in some kind of trussing. I've seen Bianca Belair vs. Doudrop so many times, yet somehow I don't tire of it. They had yet another very good back and forth match where I still pop for Belair hitting the KOD on her, even though I've seen it about 8 times now. Becky Lynch Pillmanized Belair's neck in a chair on the ring post afterwards in revenge for Becky's real life crushed throat. And also, Becky likes gold. In by far the best thing on the show, Randy Orton had organised a title celebration / Riddle birthday combo. The balloons looked deflated. The popcorn had been bought from the concession stand. Party planning isn't the legend killer's kind of thing, but he's trying, and it was genuinely very, very sweet. Arcade Bro, as an act, have done a rare thing in WWE. They've gotten better over time. I actually never want Randy to turn on Riddle. Oh god, it's gonna happen. The Street Profits then came down to challenge Arcade Bro for a title match at Mania because they'd beaten them a few weeks back. That led Randy to cut an awesome babyface promo on how nobody tells him what to do. But Riddle pointed out they gotta face somebody at Mania, so why not the Profits? But then Montez disrespected Randy's party planning abilities on the way out. I mean, where's the Pizza Hut trilogy meals? Which fired up Riddle to challenge him to a match. The charisma and plotting of this segment was flawless. And the Riddle vs. Ford match afterwards was really heated too, with Montez even slightly working heel, which I don't think I've ever seen him do. Alpha Academy, who are also wickedly over, took out both teams for the DQ, hopefully building a 3-way for Mania. Even more hopefully, in a TLC match, despite that not having anything to do with the story, I just really want one. WWE played a beautiful video package for Scott Hall and his passing, which Corey Graves emotionally introduced on the verge of tears. And the main event saw KO wrestle Rollins for the right to have a talk show segment with Stone Cold at Mania. While Stone Cold only really cared about promoting his beer on Twitter, they had a really good match. Of course they did. It's Owens and Rollins. But the story sucks. KO stunned Seth for the win, which derails any momentum Rollins might have had anyway. The big reports and speculation going into this episode was that if a deal had been agreed, this was where Cody would return to set up a Mania match with Seth. That obviously didn't happen. But even if it does, now the idea of him facing Rollins isn't that exciting. What did you think of Raw? Let me know in the comments. The tag title stuff aside, which is genuinely great, Raw feels like all its roster are feuding with things that aren't there. There's no WWE Championship, there's no Brock Lesnar, there's no Stone Cold. It's an empty show, which is even more exposed by its 3-hour length. This week's Raw is 42%. Now watch the first episode of our new 2K22 My GM series.
So
Simulate.
this.
Is that going to go up in flames right now?
We have a new Raw Women's Champion. And she lost the belt. Yes, that's sort of my plans.